I'd been a vegetarian for, in 1970 became vegetarian at age 13, and that was an ethical reason. I became a footballer. I was a mad Everton fan, so the family were all Everton fans. We lived about 100 yards away from Everton's ground. So football was key in our lives. We always wanted to be footballers. Unfortunately for me, I got the opportunity. I wrote to Everton for a trial, got there. So when I was 16, I was signed by Everton and became a pro at 17. All that time through my football career, I was a vegetarian. And no problems. I mean, absolutely no problem whatsoever. The coach was a little bit concerned. I was only young, I was slight. Wasn't very heavy. But fitness-wise, absolutely no problem whatsoever. But the more I got into the vegetarianism, I wasn't an activist. I've never been an activist until I don't even call myself an activist now. Really. Trying to spread the message.
Yeah.
My elder brother John became a vegan in 1980, very early in 1980. We chatted about it and I thought, what's wrong with the dairy industry at the time? Really naive, thinking you're doing your bit just by not eating meat and fish. And we talked about it. I thought, it makes sense all this, So I wrote to the Vegan Society for information. I mean, veganism wasn't really on the radar in 1970 although it was formed in 1944, but I didn't have a clue about it in 1970 when I became vegetarian. So it was slowly coming on the radar. I wrote to the Vegan Society for information, got the information, and I read all the information and thought, what, if I'm going to be 100% committed to this, for the animal rights issues and the ethical reasons for it, we've got to go vegan. And I went vegan in 1980 then, so for the last 10 years of my professional football playing career, I was a vegan. I don't suppose it was that easy then. I wouldn't say it was hard, but we didn't have the variety of foods that are available now. Yes, we had fruits and vegetables and grains and beans, they were all there then, but the sort of the fake meats and all that sort of stuff was very basic then. I don't eat that stuff, by the way, but it's just a lot easier for people to transition from meat eating to veganism now.
Yeah.
We can't deny that people love the taste of meat and animal foods because you can make anything taste nice with salt, herbs and spices and all that sort of stuff. But so the transition for me is a lot easier for people now. But as regards from a playing point of view, no, again, as a vegan, no manager or coach ever questioned my fitness. They may have questioned my ability. I might not be a great player, but fitness-wise, no one ever called me and said, what, Neil, you're not looking too fit these days, does it do anything to do with your diet? Absolutely nothing. I was always one of the, I'd say, top 3-5 fittest people at every club I played at. No one ever questioned my fitness, and it's got nothing to do with that anyway, an animal food diet doesn't make you fitter. The predominant source of energy that we needed was carbohydrates, and they're all from plant foods. So. No, it was fine. Obviously, I got a lot of mickey taken. A lot of people took the mickey out of me, just eat lettuce and just eat grass and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't sort of actively promote it. I should have done it probably. Looking back, probably should have done it, made more of an issue of it. Because there's only ever been, try and believe this, that in the history of football, there's only ever been, certainly in the UK, there are now, but certainly in the UK, there's only ever been, that we know of, 2 vegan professional footballers.
Wow.
And I was the first one in 1980. And a guy called Dean Howell now, he's just recently retired last year. He was vegan, I think, for the last 6 or 8 years of his career. So in the history of football and football players, you can't tell me that only 2 players have ever shown compassion for animals. I don't believe it, So something's wrong there, I think the football world is still in the Stone Age as regards, what footballers and athletes require for their energy needs. And, there's a serious education issue there, you know, that we don't need the animal foods are not required. I'm sure there are more footballers with compassion, but they sort of they trade off, you know, the animal foods with their fitness and career. I think the career is winning, you know what I mean? So we need to sort of a lot more people. There's been a lot of stuff in the press lately, I think, about certain footballers have cut down on the meat. I think Sergio Aguero, I don't know for definite, you know, what they're doing. Phil Neville is a vegetarian. I'd like to, you know, it'd be great if we can get a famous footballer, someone for the kids to look up to as well. If we can get one of them to become vegan, and then there'd be sort of a trailblazer, and I think would kick off and really, you know, be fantastic.
Did you eat?
I kept it very basic. So it wasn't too difficult for me. I really would, let's just say, a platter of boiled vegetables will do me, or steamed vegetables with a nice big salad. I'd say, look, I don't have this, I don't have eggs, I don't have cheese, I don't have milk, I don't have meat, I don't have fish. Made it perfectly clear what I did need, and I just want this, you know, with beans, grains. And I got it, I always got it. When I very first started, I was just asking for beans on toast. You know, but you know, who doesn't like beans on toast?
Yeah.
So I always got that. Latterly, I was for a pre-match meal. I just ate bananas on toast. Give me 2 or 3 bananas and some dry toast, and I'm happy with that. So that, you know, and that's probably a lot of players bought into that then later on. Not because of me, they just sort of bought into this, you know, what's healthier to eat for a pre-match or for an evening meal the night before. So they're getting healthier, they just don't buy into the non-animal foods thing for other sports do, you know, which is a bit of a disappointment from the football, because that's my background, football. You know, I think I read recently that there's 4 professional snooker players on the pro circuit now.
Wow.
I think Neil Robertson is, Pete Ebden, and I forget there's a couple more on the circuit as well. So snooker players are buying into the, you know, that it helps and it benefits their game, you know, and football, as I say, they're in the Stone Age, and that needs addressing somehow.
Prompt you to go like get some more protein before a match or anything like that?
No one bothered me.
Mm.
The only people that bothered me initially, and there was no bother, was when I very first signed for Everton when I was 16. They did try to get more protein down me. I think they saw a bit of potential in me. The manager at the time was a guy called Billy Bingham, and he took it upon himself twice a week. The manager took me as a young kid for personal training, took me in the gym because he wanted to build me up, and they put me on a program of protein shakes, which were dairy based. Then I was only vegetarian, so that was the only hassle. It wasn't even hassle, you know. It was great to think that I was getting, you know, personal treatments off the manager.
Yeah.
No one ever told me you need more protein, you need more of this. No one ever told me that. And there was no need to, because my fitness performances were never in question.
What did your family and friends think about it when you turned vegan?
My mum was fine. She was sort of a sort of an inspiration to us all anyway, because although we were eating meat and we were eating healthier, you know, we had a juicer, we had a blender, you know, so we started to sort of buy into healthier foods, you know. Told my mum, and she was fine. That was being a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Obviously when I was vegan, we moved away anyway then. So, everyone else was sort of from, because we're sort of socially programmed, aren't we? You know, life programs us that way. You know, we don't sort of make the connection of the animals and the food that's in the supermarket. So from a social program point of view, you know, we think that's what we eat. We eat meat, we eat fish, we eat eggs. So they were sort of still into that social program, just sort of still a prank probably, but no, it's not hassle really. Again, you get, you know, even to this day we get the mickey taken out of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just through. It's not. I don't mean it nastily. That's just through ignorance of social programming. You know, it's hopefully we can. There's a lot going on. You know, recently we had the Veg Fest at Bristol, which I was unfortunate not to attend, but I know it would have been a great success. All the vegan festivals that are out there now, they're all slowly starting to spread the message. You know.
Do you think it's important to spread the message?
Definitely, yeah. You know, and it's as I say, you know, through social media and on the internet and all that, the opportunities now are just vast. But ironically, animal food consumption appears to be going up, although the awareness of veganism and the actual amount of people who are becoming vegan is growing, and it's not going to go away. It's not going away at all. It is going to get greater. And I've absolutely, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, it might not happen in your lifetime, but I'm absolutely convinced that at some stage it will happen. And we've got to believe that, you know. We've got to have some sort of social change and global change for everything really, so we have to believe in those values that we're putting forward as regards a vegan lifestyle, and hopefully it is going to win over the day. I say it'll never happen in my lifetime, it probably won't happen in my children's lifetime, hopefully grandkids or it will happen. Other than a huge holocaust, global holocaust, then you know, it won't happen in our time. But you know, I think we've got to try and leave a legacy and you know, do spread awareness about it all. And it is growing, there's no doubt about it, it's growing, because we can just tell on the internet and social media, just ironically, that meat and animal consumption seems to be going up, and that needs addressing somehow.
What do you think is the best way to address the meat consumption?
It's just education, isn't it? You know, and it's difficult. It's just about us all. You know, from a local level, we need to do it. You know, locally, communities. We try and get involved in the local communities. And I'm as guilty of that as anyone. You know, it's getting involved. And then hopefully the message is spread. You know, it's we need famous people involved as well. And there are a lot of famous people getting involved because people look up to famous people.
Yeah. We
idolise these people, myself included. You know, and you know, it's down to grassroots level, but it's also we need to get the people at the top to try to spread it. I mean, we join in the middle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of high-profile people buying into it now. People tend to call it plant-based now. I'm proud of the word vegan, that's what I became a vegan, and I buy into the word vegan, and people seem to think you might put people off with the word vegan. I love it, I'm very proud of it. And I bought into the plant-based thing, you know, from an education point of view. Yeah, I'm plant-based now, great, it's fantastic. But the more I thought about it, I thought, you know, we're not really solely vegan, isn't just the only diet that can be plant-based. If you look at you take a McDonald's for instance, you know, if you buy a Big Mac, I assume, when I've seen the pictures of it, you know, you can get it with French fries, you get it with a bun, you get it with salad. So half of that is plant-based. You know, you've got the wheat bun, you've got the potato fries, you've got the vegetable salad. So they could technically say that's plant-based, although it's got a big lump of meat in the middle of it. So for me, there's lots of diets could say they're plant-based. I like to call it plant-exclusive really now. The only diet, or the only lifestyle that you can promote on the planet that is exclusively vegan is a plant-exclusive. Or we just call it plant foods diet.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to mention like the animal rights issues of why?
Well, yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, that's the only reason why I became vegan. The reason why I became vegetarian, the reason why I progressed to being a vegan is all ethical and moral and animal rights issues. I'm not saying it's wrong, and it's great. The more people we can get to buy into the veganism lifestyle, if it's through health, if they think it's a health issue, if they think it's an environmental issue, that's great. But for me, fundamentally, it's got to be about the ethical and moral reason, the animal rights issue. For me, there's always that chance, and it scares me a little bit, is that when people say, it's really healthy being a vegan, or it's so much better for the planet being a vegan, the likelihood is that they drop off. You know, you've got a lot of famous celebrities who've done it, you know. don't really want to have a go at her, like the likes of Angelina Jolie. You know, when I first heard she was vegan, I thought, great. And then shortly after, she gave it up because she said veganism was killing her. You know, I don't know what she was feeding herself. But you think as a grown woman, you think she'd be able to nourish herself properly, you know. And she's had some terrible health consequences because of that. I'm not saying, I do believe it's because of her diet. It's genetic, she maintains, but it all goes around from the diet originally.
Yeah, there's a lot of like diseases and illnesses that are caused through eating too much meat.
You know, I buy into all that. All the research indicates that, you know, that animal food consumption causes the majority of all human ailments and diseases, and I do buy into that. And it's like anything, you know, that's probably why people don't buy into veganism. We all believe what we want to believe. You know, at the end of the day, we read whatever, we take information in from all forms of media. You know, talking to you, reading a paper, reading a book, on the internet, TV. We take that information in and we process that information in our brain, and we think, well, that makes perfect sense to me. That's crap. I'm going to send that to the recycle bin. You know, and so we all believe what we want to believe. You know, I believe that animal foods cause the vast majority of human illnesses.
There's actual studies though that say...
The studies back it up.
But no one seems to promote it.
But again, you know, people may not buy into the study, you know, and you have to look at a lot of the foods that are pro-animal, a lot of the resources that are available and research that are available for animal food, pro-animal foods. You have to drill down to the people who have been funding that. You know, you'll find that maybe somewhere right down the bottom there, of the animal foods industry, one form of the egg industry or the dairy industry or the beef industry, the pork industry, somewhere along that, because they want to promote their foods. It's billions of dollars for them. Yeah. You know, and they don't want people to give up those industries and lose all their money. So they're funding a lot of this stuff. I'm not saying maybe plant food companies don't, you know, but I generally think usually people who are promoting plant foods are a little bit more ethically and morally minded for human health. I don't think the animal foods industries are. They just want it for the money. Yeah, so education's key to it all, really.
You've got a website?
Myself and my brother set up a website a few years ago called The Peaceful Planet. And life just got in the way of it. We sort of let it drift by the wayside. We're about to hopefully relaunch it in a couple of months. I'm actually working on the website now. And The Peaceful Planet is about, fundamentally what underpins The Peaceful Planet for me and my brother John is that it's a vegan lifestyle. And because if we go back to the reasons why you become a vegan, not through health or environmental, well that's included in The Peaceful Planet, is the ethical and moral reasons. And for me the vegan lifestyle is based on you know, non-violence, non-exploitation, non-abuse, compassion, empathy, kindness, peace, love. I think if you become a vegan for ethical and moral reasons, those sort of emotions are within you and come out again. I think if you go from the health point of view, just one issue, I tend to think you're going to drop off. You know, they become a fad diet, not a lifestyle. And yeah, so The Peaceful Planet, what underpins it is a vegan lifestyle. But we sort of based it on 5 principles that we feel where we need social justice and change for the planet. You know, we're talking about free education for all and promoting creativity. And involved in the creativity side of it is our brother Sir Ken Robinson, so he's sort of the world-renowned expert on creativity and education, so we've sort of got him backing us as well. Economy, you know, most of the world's ills are caused by money, and again, it's not going to happen in our lifetime because the people at the top, I think like 1% at the top, richest people run the world, so they're not going to want to change it. But you know, if we can try and push for monetary reform, think of some other monetary systems, alternative money systems, you know, certainly try and get tax abolished, and have things what we call citizen payments. We all get entitled to a payment, try and get rid of benefits, but we all get a payment. And free education is part of that. So there's lots of issues in the monetary thing, the money creation process, how money is created now, it's all a lie, it's all phony. So all this stuff, we've got creativity, economy, education, health, again, that's a big part of making, because we're not only after global peace, we're after inner peace as well, so each person's inner peace. So once we have inner peace as well, and if we show all these emotions of non-violence and all that, it addresses the global problem. Health, sustainability and environment, that's another principle. What legacy do we want to leave our, we want to live in a nice, the planet will heal itself. There's a great comedian called George Carlin who said that the planet will do okay on its own. We're a bacteria on the planet there. The planet's going wrong because of us, and once we go, the planet will heal itself. It'll just revert back to the way it was. But whilst we're living on here, or whilst humans are on the planet and leave a legacy for our children, our children's children, we have to do something about the environment. Don't worry about the planet, but it's about how we live on the planet.
Yeah.
And the last one is interaction. Now we all interact with each other. Interact peacefully. There's nothing racism, there's no ageism, there's no homophobia, xenophobia. And it's just the whole 5 principles, how we all react, and that's that's my main focus in life now. Really, not just spreading the word about veganism.
Yeah.
That's an important issue. It's the peaceful planet, and we hope to launch that in about the next few months. Anyway, watch this space on that one. We'll let you know about
Yeah, that's great.
But I say through our contacts with Sir Ken Robinson, our brother Ken, there are some potentially high-profile people that we could probably tap into to help on that.
So it seems like you also care about humans as well as animals, because sometimes when you say to people that you're vegan, they assume that maybe you only care about animals.
Yeah. No, it's the whole issue. Our vegan lifestyle cares about everyone. It does it fundamentally. It's the animal. We want the animals. We don't want the animals hurt. We don't want animals killed. We don't want animals abused or exploited. That's the whole thing about veganism initially. But there's a human issue as well. The whole planet needs healing.
Yeah.
And we just feel that if we can try and address all those 5 principles, it brings about global and inner peace as well. We all want inner peace as well. We all want to live a nice, peaceful life individually, but collectively, we all need to get on as well. It's one planet, it's one universe. It's crazy when you look at the planet from the universe with this tiny dot, as Carl Sagan said. Tiny blue dot. And he quoted everyone we've ever known and has ever been as being on this planet together. And I just don't think everyone that's ever been killed or died through conflicts and wars and social injustice, and anyone who's ever lived and died because of those causes, I don't think we should let them die in vain. And I think it's our duty to sort of try and engender peace on the planet. And it's not going to happen. I'm a big dreamer. We all dream about peace. I'm sure there's not many people who don't want peace on the planet, and we all dream about it, and it will never happen in my lifetime, but I think we should all give it a go.
Yeah.
And it's happened in the past. We've had pop stars, rock stars trying to promote peace. John Lennon. What would have happened if John Lennon had still been alive? The planet could have been so much different then. Peace activists, that have been assassinated. And you think, why do you want to assassinate people who are peaceful? And I think we owe it to all these people to try and sort of carry on the legacy. And leave a legacy for our kids. It's not going to happen. It's a big dream. It's a tall order. It's utopia we're after.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen in our time, if ever. But it doesn't mean to say we don't try and get it. We don't strive for it.
So do you think vegans should try and unify what their causes and what they promote, rather than the single issue?
Yeah, there's loads of single issues within veganism. And I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just that maybe all together collectively we can all get there quicker. You know, we all want to get to this end point, this end road, but we're travelling on different roads. And I think if we all sort of go down the same road together, and there's like I was saying earlier, the awareness about veganism now is greater than ever now, because of the internet and social media. You've got loads of organisations, there's millions of organisations, vegan this, vegan that, animal this, animal that. I just think maybe if we can all come together, maybe through the Peaceful Planet, or some other organisation, we need some sort of hub where we all come together and we get there quicker. If everyone's doing it individually, we're all making inroads, everyone's making inroads, but we may make inroads better if we work together. And it's like within veganism as well, you know, we may want to donate to dog charities or, you know, pony charities or fish charities. Nothing wrong with that really, but we could get there quicker if we focus on the whole animal rights issue. You know, it's everyone. You know, why should we just save dogs when cows and pigs are getting killed? You know, we just save 100 dogs today, but we'll let millions of pigs die tomorrow. We need it all coming together, you know, and we need all animals stopped tomorrow, all animal slaughter stopped tomorrow, and abuse and exploitation.
Veganism is sometimes seen as extreme. So what's the most extreme thing you've done in your life?
Well, if you say it's extreme, that's probably one of them, but nothing really. I've not sort of done any activism and stuff. I have got, this is probably going to be the most extreme thing, on the 26th of this month. I'm doing a bike ride from Land's End to John O'Groats. We're going to do it in 9 days. It's myself and the other ex-professional footballer who's a vegan, the only two on the planet. Me and Dean Howell and a friend of Dean's who's a rock climber called Tris West. We're going to do the cycle ride together. So that's probably the most extreme thing. And we've got a website there, it's called VeganAthletesForPeace.com. And the message for that was to accompany the Peaceful Planet thing, was a little precursor before the launch of the new website for that. It's to sort of try and spread the message of a vegan lifestyle for peace. Through sport really, you know, we think that maybe if we can get some, I was talking about it earlier, if we can get some higher profile athletes to buy into this vegan lifestyle, and if we can prove that obviously we're going to do Land's End to John O'Groats in 9 days, he says, fingers crossed, we can just prove then that you know, it's got nothing to do with the diet itself or the food itself. I'm putting myself under a bit of pressure there because Dean is in amazing shape and Tris, they're both in amazing shape. My training's been hampered. I've been injured a couple of times and I'm injured now with 3 weeks to go. I'm injured again now and I've missed about a week's training, so I'm hoping Dean and Tris are going to pull me through. I've actually suggested we get a tandem. I'll sit on the back, they can do all the pedalling, I'll just go through the motions. So I hope that's going to be the most extreme thing. It's going to be hard because I've been I didn't realise, it sounded easy when I said to Dean, do you fancy doing this charity bike ride, you know, and we can, for all vegan charities. What about 13 charities actually? I don't know why I put 4 up, but it's 13. So to raise awareness of veganism as a peaceful lifestyle, but also to help some charities. So that's going to be the most extreme. As I say, from the training point of view, I said to Dean, you know, be easy, 100 miles a day, no problem. No. It's terribly difficult. It really is difficult. It's hard, and I really admire cyclists. The training that they do. I didn't realise how difficult it was going to be. A bit regretful now, and I've missed some training time, so it's going to be doubly hard for myself to do it. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that to come out of it alive, to be honest now. But I'm sure, you know, Dean and Tris are going to help me through. So that's going to be the most extreme thing. 100 miles a day is difficult. So if we can do it as a vegan, and I'm clocking on a bit now, I can pull it off. I'll be really proud of myself. So that's the most extreme thing.
Yeah.
It will.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Will you be eating any special vegan food to pull you through it?
Well, it's funny because although we're all 3 of us are vegan, we all eat differently. Dean eats a more high-fat, low-carb diet. I eat a low-fat, high-carb. I think Trish is somewhere in the middle, really. So special food-wise, we just got to all try and get our own little dietary requirements in. And thanks, I want to put a little bit of a plug in for Sumer Whole Foods, because they've not only sponsored us with cash, they're also agreed to sponsor us with some food as well. So we've got to submit to them our shopping list, and they're going to give us the food for the 9 days. Not everything we require, obviously. We don't expect them to fund everything, you know, but they've been really immense and to help us Sumer Whole Foods. So a big thanks to them. We've got to submit our shopping lists very shortly. We've got to think what we want, really. Nothing special. It's always loads of fruit, veg. There probably will be some supplements in there. Obviously, Dean Howell's got his own supplement company called Revolution Foods, so we're thankful for them. They're going to be sponsoring us. He produced some really great foods, alkaline, healthy foods. If you go on their website, I think it's revolution-foods.com.
Yeah.
Check out his website. So it's all covered, hopefully. We just got to put the effort in though.
Yeah.
But if you check out Dean, and Dean's in amazing shape. He's in he looks physically immense. He is in immense physical shape, fitness-wise as well. Dean's in great shape. Being a rock climber, you know, he's in great shape as well. I'm going to be the one who may be the one that puts the blocks on it, but you know, hopefully they'll drag me now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you've been vegan for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Have you seen any changes in the vegan movement?
Well, from the early days, I mean, it was ethically and morally. That's what I bought into, the ethos of the Vegan Society. I think it's changed a little bit over the years. I'm not saying for wrongful reasons. You know, we need to promote the Vegan Society. That the Vegan Society needs to live. And I think maybe I'm wrong in this. I don't know whether the promotion of the Vegan Society was. Do think a little bit more about the funding side of it, and it's vitally important that they do that. But it's great to see now that they seem to be pushing the vegan ethical and the original ethics of the Vegan Society is back on board. I think I may be misquoting people there or misreading the situations. You know, there was a lot of stuff about negative about the Vegan Society, but you know, fundamentally they're doing great work, and they always will. We just all need to be singing from the same hymn sheet. You know, that it's about animal rights, and also about human rights as well. You know, it does transcend that as well, the vegan lifestyle. But you know, other than that, you know, I think if we all start singing the same hymn sheet. All the organisations, you know, there's many animal rights organisations now, not just the Vegan Society in the UK, there's the US, globally. There's some great organisations out there, and I say, as I was saying earlier, if we just all pull together, and we'll get down to that end goal quicker.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for people that want to go vegan?
Well, it's very easy these days, you know. If you're doubtful, don't doubt it. You don't need it for fitness. It certainly improves your health. It improves the health of the planet. It improves the health of animals. Don't have any doubts about it. There's loads of resources online. I don't want to sort of just pick out different websites. You know, you've got vegan, as a starting point, Vegan Society, Viva, PETA, UK or the US. We've all got great resources now. So just Google it, do your research, do your planning. It's, you know, think about the food you want to eat. Think of what can replace the animal foods. There's loads of fake meats out there. I don't actively eat those foods myself, but you know, it's very easy to transition from a meat diet to a plant diet now. Just basically do your research and don't ever doubt it. You know, if you've got the commitment, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you know, hopefully you do it for the ethical and moral reasons and the animal rights, you won't go wrong. You certainly won't want to go back. And just be focused, do the proper research and enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Nice one.